Alas, poor Yorick.
Can you speak a little bit about how you built your relationship with Saleya and Ophelia and Lorraine and Gertrude?
Yeah, I mean, the thing about Ophelia, I feel, and this probably is due in large part to Saleya's portrayal, is that she and Hamlet are equals. She's the closest, maybe the closest thing that he has to like an intellectual equal. They spar. There's like a real fire in their interaction, and I think that is part of the passion that feeds their love. You know, so I think in building my relationship with Saleya and Ophelia, I felt like there was a real, I owed a sort of, I didn't need to hold back. That holding back would do a disservice to the character that Saleya was trying to portray, right? That like, I didn't need to handle her delicately.
Yeah.
Right? And Lorraine, I mean, you have to come up to meet Lorraine. Like, so there was a real, something that was very important, I felt, to Lorraine was making sure that Gertrude was a powerful woman, you know? And as we, especially in the closet scene, as we sort of moved through that, she let me know that she was not in any way going to take any of Hamlet's BS, you know, that it was very much about her as a black mother. And there's a specific way black moms roll, you know. So she brought a lot of that to the room.
Oh, Hamlet,
What's the matter now?
have you forgot me?
No, not so. You are the queen, your husband's brother's wife. And would it were not so, you are my mother.
Nay, then I will set those to you that can speak.
I also found it so beautiful how protective she was of Hamlet. You know?
Yeah, I remember like in that last performance, we found this real, the push and pull between who is the parent in what moment, or who is the caregiver in each moment, right?
Yes.
They've both experienced a tremendous loss, and I think often in those moments, who has the right to the grief in the moment is a push and pull.
That's
the tension that
interesting.
exists, right? And I think there was something about that particular scene where both of their grief was like so on display that they had to be there for each other in various moments. So yeah.
Yeah, that little intricate moment at the top of the show when she pleads to you, and you succumb.
Stay here. And I do think, she's the only person who could have gotten him to stay. I think he would have been a terror if she had not sort of like stepped in and said, please stay. I think he would have thrown a tantrum until he was allowed to leave.
Absolutely.
I think. But there's something about that mother-son connection that he valued.
Let not thy mother lose her prayers, Hamlet. I pray thee, stay with us.
I shall in all my best obey you.
So the two boys in the show, Laertes and Hamlet, they both find themselves in this moment of grieving their fathers.
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
And it's also interesting that they were raised in the same household. And I find that really, like my sister and I deal with grief completely differently.
Same, yeah.
Right? But these two boys are quick to fire.
Yeah.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, I think that's really interesting because I think we've actually found in this production a lot more similarities between Laertes and Hamlet than maybe is normal, because I've always read, Laertes is the foil of Hamlet. They're exact opposites. Hamlet has no idea what to do, and Laertes is strong in his resolve.
Yeah.
And I think there's some truth to that, but in this version, our Hamlet is not really just floundering. He's actually incredibly intelligent, and he is kind of trying to figure out what to do. And in this version, I have sort of played Laertes as though he's, like I said before, getting on this just moving train, and that these sequence of events just kind of happen to him, because of his own actions, but also because of the actions of the people around him. And by the time he gets to the end and is staring Hamlet in the face and about to kill him, he realizes, how did I get myself in this position? So I think there's a lot of and there's the line in the play where Hamlet says, "I see myself." I forget the exact line, but in the portraiture of him, and I think that there's a lot of similarity there in that they've both been thrust into these very challenging emotional situations and are kind of scrambling to get a footing, and there's these adults, this older generation, who are managing them a bit, and manipulating them a bit.
I dare damnation. To this point I stand, that both the worlds I give to negligence. Let come what comes. Only I'll be revenged most thoroughly from my father.
Good Laertes, if you desire to know the certainty of your dear father, is it writ in your revenge that swoop stake you will draw both friend and foe, winner and loser?
None but his enemies!
Will you know them then?
To his good friends thus wide I'll ope my arms, and like the kind life-rendering pelican repass them with my blood.
Why, now you speak like a good child and a true gentleman, that I am guiltless of your father's death, and am most sensibly in grief for it.
Something I thought about toward the end of our run was like the toll that it must take also to enact vengeance on someone who is also a member of your family. I thought a lot about generational trauma and about, specific to our production, about the relationships between black fathers and black sons, black uncles and black nephews, all of like just the sort of, and especially in this moment, I was talking about this last night with some friends, just there's this feel that existing as, specifically as a black man, that journey, that experience has evolved so much in the last decade that if you go back just one generation, it widens the chasm between that generation and this generation.
Absolutely.
So I think there's of course, it just added another layer to the tensions that are already there that Shakespeare has set down, right? That Claudius has popped in between Hamlet's hopes to become king. He's also married his mother. Like that in and of itself is one thing. And then you layer also this sort of generational chasm that I think this contemporary production layered on. And I just think that these men are at odds. And I think later on in our run, I started to think about like, where was the love here? And I'm sure just as a kid, Hamlet probably loved his Uncle Claudius.
Sure.
There had to have been a connection there. Sure. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so hurt.
Therefore, our sometime sister, now our queen, the imperial jointress to this warlike state, have we, as 'twere with a defeated joy, with an auspicious and a dropping eye, with mirth in funeral and with dirge in marriage, in equal scale, weighing delight and dole, taken to wife.
So as the son of Polonius, growing up in this house, what was your relationship like with Hamlet?
That's interesting. There's not a lot of information about that in the text. So we took some liberties and made some things up. And for my interpretation of the character, I decided that they grew up and that they were really close, that they went to school together. They probably went to fencing camp together. They, they spent a lot of time together. They know each other really well. So when Laertes is warning Ophelia about dating him, it's less like, oh, I don't want you to date this horrible man or something, and more like, I know this guy. I know what's on his back right now as this important person in the community. I know how hard his life is currently, and dating him would be dangerous for you, would be hard on you. And so I think there's a lot more love that we've imbued into that scene when that's the take, when there's a lot of closeness between all of them. It's also like, you're dating someone who you've grown up with since birth. That's a little weird.
So are you trying to get her out and find somebody different?
I think so.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Because you grew up with Hamlet. You know how Hamlet maneuvers through the world, and then add on top of that his current situation with his dad dying.
Yeah,
and his mom
I think I've
quickly
been
getting married. All of that.
Absolutely, I've been there and I've seen all of it happen, and I see the life he's going to have when he does become king, governor, whatever it is, and the position that she would be in as a more common person. I mean, we've sort of changed what that means in this production, but as someone who is not royalty, who is not in that family, the strain that would put on her if she were in that position.
For Hamlet and the trifling of his favor, hold it a fashion and a toy in blood, violet in the youth of primy nature, forward, not permanent, sweet, not lasting, the perfume and suppliance of a minute, no more.
Oh, no more but so.
Think it no more. Perhaps he loves you now, but you must fear his greatness weighed. His will is not his own, for he himself is subject to his birth.
I always thought it was really cool that I got to be very much on stage, especially in rehearsals, for Olive to be or not to be. Because here you are hearing like just the most beautiful language ever. The language that is like the soliloquies that Hamlet has have informed the English language permanently.
Correct.
Like, so you're hearing, but to hear Atu, especially someone as beautiful, such a beautiful artist, making sense of those soliloquies, it was just like, how could you not be in love with this person?
Yeah.
I love your mind. I know you're hurting. I know you're not okay. But one person I love is telling me this is how I should deal with you, and I'm in this position. For the one scene that they're really together, she's lying to him, and she's in this position of it's such a there's so many things happening.
Manipulation.
Yeah, and she and it's not her fault.
No.
It's not her fault.
No.
And so I just think
It's funny because we were talking about John and earlier on at the table. I would say to John, "Why are you doing this?" And he would always point to Hamlet and go, "It's his fault. He started this.
He started this. Right?
But it's also like the way he manipulated certain moments to sort of relieve him of his own guilt.
Right.
Right.
And I feel like so much of Hamlet is just like men
Speak on it.
wreaking havoc just because they're not willing to say that they were wrong about something.
Yes.
Like, it's such a, to me, placing this show in this day and age, I was just like, this is the danger of masculine pride. And look who pays the price.
Yes.
Look who pays the price.
No,
It's
absolutely.
and if we don't see that happening in the world that we're living in right now, male pride and ego, we see it in we see it in our politics like crazy, and look who's paying the price. It's women who are like
female bodies.
It's female bodies that are paying the price for male ego, and that's exactly what happens in Hamlet. It's just like, a couple men unwilling to say that they were wrong, unwilling to ask the right questions, unwilling to tell the truth. All these plans that are laid to end up on top.
Right.
And then
power.
And then the women die. Women die.
There's room for you. There's room for you. And some for me.